Sometimes we encounter people who have energy that is bigger than life, and they have stories behind that. Today, on the Behind the Bell podcast, we have Coach JaQuan McGee. In this episode, we talk about his career, his family, and we even share some history that him and I have. I was upset when you got hired.
Where?
Here,
Really?
like when you came back.
And just a couple sprinkles of dookie got on my beard and my face. Like I said, it is a great job. But ultimately, though, what I still would encourage youth to do is to...
And without further ado, let's get into this episode. So we got a lot to get through, so I want to jump right into it.
Okay.
So what do you do for a living? So you're not in building with us, but it seems that way because you're always around. What do you do for a living?
So what I do is I'm an operator for the city of Joliet in the street department. Our job is we do a variety of things. So we go from plowing snow, cutting trees, doing asphalt. We're basically the guys who take care of the city. You know, I mean, a lot of things, if it wasn't for us, a lot of people won't have access to things when it comes to things in the city, as far as, you know, clearing the pathways for the ambulance to even get to people in the winter time. Making sure, like the guys that are in the water department, making sure that people got clean flowing water and sanitation and all that. So being a city worker is a huge role, which is not just behind the bill, but it's behind the scenes of the city, which a lot of people don't appreciate but don't see as well, though. So I've been doing that for 8 years. And I mean, I like my job. It pays well, and I'm very fortunate to be in that position.
For sure. And so I think you said it perfectly that it's not appreciated, but it's not appreciated probably because it's not seen and not known. So can you walk us through what a typical day can look like in your specific department on a given day?
So the specific day, it could vary between what's needed and I guess some of the things that they might get, because some things may happen overnight. If we get like a strong windstorm, then
which we had here recently,
then we'll be basically on trees. So we have to suit up. A lot of guys, you know, we get a lot of our tree gear on. If it comes to headgear, eye protection, all of that stuff. We get the chainsaws ready, get the trucks ready, make sure everything's fueled up, chains are sharpened and all that. We get out, especially after like the storm we had. We're clearing trees out the street, off people's cars, off people's houses and things like that. So it's a variety of things that we do in that aspect. But in a typical day like that, we basically get a task and we get addresses. Sometimes we just have a list. Sometimes it's just like, wait for my call, wait for my text. So it's the day to day is always different. You may come in the day and it's raining, and we might be unclogging drains that day because the streets are flooded. So it's always something. That's why I'm never really in one spot. We're never really doing the same thing. It could be, you could be on trees for 1 week and you're doing asphalt for the next 2 weeks. So it's a variety of things, which is, it keeps us moving. And that's what I like about it the most, though.
Okay. And then how many departments is it? So it's like it's street, water, sewage, is that one?
So you got street, water, you got the sewer, and then you have the treatment plant. And the treatment plant is really behind the scenes type thing. They really specify in all the waste that goes to these specific locations. And they really make sure that the waste is not as bad when it's released back into the environment. And those guys that are also in that building, they're making sure that we don't have any issues like they had at Flint, Michigan.
Okay.
So they're constantly testing the water for lead and different things like that, making sure the water is drinkable for the people in the city. So so it's four different departments that really carry the behind the scenes thing of the city.
Okay. Is there any like maintenance in that? So like I know, like you all use different kind of vehicles. Is there any kind of like maintenance in the city?
So there is we do have what they call MMD. It's the guys who operate specifically. There's a group that operates on the police cars, a group that operates on the firefighters, the ambulance and things like that. And then it's a group that does specifically our vehicles, like the street sweepers, um, our dump trucks and pickup trucks and different things like that. So yeah, so there's different maintenance workers in that aspect that does those specific things. Yeah.
Okay. And you said you've been in for the past 8 years.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming you had some careers before that. What drew you to city work?
To be completely honest, what drew me to city work is the opportunity to be able to financially take care of my family better.
For sure.
But then knowing what my schedule would be, obviously being close to home, working for the city, in the city,
Yeah.
and the financial security in the future. So working for the city, I think I explained to you before, like Illinois' municipal retirement fund. So it's one of the only retirement funds that's not touched basically by the government and things like that. So a lot of guys that retire from here are pretty set. So I'm thinking future, I'm thinking retirement. And so those one of the things that brought me to the city, things like that.
That long game.
Oh yeah.
It's so much because in my line of work, being a social worker, working in a school system, I'm trying to get the kids to kind of realize that like it's kind of hard, especially at a young age, to play that long game. But when you get into something like the city jobs or what have you at an early age, it makes that much more difference in the long run. Because right now, social media kind of waters things down and dilutes them a little bit. You think these high glitz and glamour jobs you can get into versus like a city job. Like, man, them joints pay well. City jobs, policemen, firefighters, all those kind of things. Like, you can really make some good money and provide for your family now, but like for students, that their future family. So, that's great.
Ultimately, though, like I said, it is a great job. But ultimately, though, what I still would encourage youth to do is to, at some point, somehow, still plan to be your own boss. Because I still have to be at this place Monday through Friday, from start time to end time. When it's an emergency, if it's snowing, I have to leave my family to go basically take care of everybody else in the city and take care of these things. So it is a sense of, yes, as far as job security and financial, it is great, but I'm still have to answer to somebody. And some people are okay with that, but if you aren't, and in somewhat of a sense that I'm really not okay with that, then I would advise people to try to be your own boss. Like if it's something that you can do to secure your own financial stability and your own freedom, travel when you want to, go to work when you want to, but still be able to take care of your family, by all means, pursue that.
And I agree with that as well.
Yeah.
But I think sometimes, like, in this day and age, it gets taken out of context to where, just jump out and be an entrepreneur and do your own thing. But I think that's the wrong way of going about it, because when you're an entrepreneur, one thing that people fail to realize is that you don't know where your next check is coming from.
Nope. Yeah.
And you have to like those times where you get called to come into work. It's a relentless grind like that all the time, because you need that income to sustain your living, to provide for your family. So I would say, like, if they're going to pursue that, and I think that's what you were saying too, like if they're going to pursue that route, you got to be smart about it. Get into a career is going to be able to fund that and grow that thing to be big enough to where you were able to step away from that. I completely agree. On a lighter note, before we switch over into our next topic, so I think you know where I'm going with this.
I think. I don't know.
You told me. So in your
I do.
in your line of work, you all do a great thing to where you're able to try different departments.
Yeah.
And you had the opportunity to experience
Yeah,
a different department.
first and last.
Can you tell us a little bit about that story?
Before, so there's levels to what we do. So you got maintenance worker, and you got operator ones, you got operator twos. So in our work, so at the time I was a maintenance worker, and I got an opportunity to be an operator one. It's like a $6,000 or $7,000 increase. So I got opportunity to be an operator one into the sewer. So I'm like, there's no way I can pass this up. Sewer, how bad could it be? Real bad. So yeah, I did have the opportunity to do. You have 10 days to try it out, and it only took me 2. I think the first day, I think we were cleaning sewage drains. So you got to get suited and booted, and you got this hydro jet, and you just spraying all this straight dookie out of the pipes, just clearing it up. So I'm like, it wasn't that bad if that's all we did. But I think the next day, I think it was like a sewage break on the hill. And as soon as we pulled in the neighborhood, I was in the truck with somebody. I'm like, man, you fart? It's like, nah, bro, that's the doggone. We went there, had to dig a hole, and it was just bubbling out the ground. And it's just sewer coming in. So they got me spraying this thing, trying to get this pipe clean. And just a couple sprinkles of dookie got on my beard and my face. And I was like, yeah, this the last day. And, I didn't even call. I just showed up back at my other position the next day. And I'm like, no, I'm good. They said, hey, you coming back, McGee? I said, no, I'm going to stay in the street. And so I turned some money down for the sake of that. But by the grace of God, I got an opportunity to be an operator one in the street department at the same facility I was at. I was like, good, because I ain't playing with that mess no more. But kudos to those guys who do that job. And because if it wasn't for them, we'd be backed up in the city. But I would never. I'm good on that. Yeah, I forgot I told you about that, though.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Definition of dirty jobs right there.
Dirty jobs.
I mean, just respect to all the city workers we have. There's so much, as we're talking about now, there's so much behind the scene that you all do.
Yeah.
So I just definitely want to extend that to you all, but to you too, McGee, that we really appreciate all the work you all do to keep us safe and just allow us to enjoy all the different luxuries that we're able to.
Definitely.
Moving on. So talking about the city, you are from the city. You went to school here. Can you tell us a little bit about your playing days back in basketball?
So while I was here, we were under the old coach. I think his name was Coach Ski. It's a totally different vibe at the time. He's definitely one of those coaches that kind of get in your face and tear you down type of thing. But I think at the time, most of us were built different. So around that time, we would just kind of just take it and take that aggression and play with it. But during my last years when he retired, but then a newer coach came in, which I know Coach JaQuan. And I can tell that I never knew that coaching was different. He took a different approach to where he was a little bit more personable with us and more on the developmental side and the listening aspect, but still organized too, kind of showed us how to unintentionally show us how to run a program basically and how a program should be ran with some accountability. So holding boys accountable for their grades, our appearance was a big thing, which he kind of got away from that because we used to have to shave and stuff like that. We was like,
I ain't feeling that.
nah, that's not, we had to have a sit down, like not wearing just a mustache, man. But different things like that. But those were that was my senior year coming out of that. But definitely I think about it all the time, even when I look at our conference now and how it was built when I was in school. And I don't remember how it was when you got in, but conference, everything we did in conference, 80 East. So, you had HF, you had Andrew, you had Sandberg.
Yeah, it was the same. It switched a year after me.
Okay, so they switched a year.
Trash.
So, but if we would have had this we had now, we'd be conference champs easily.
Yeah.
But it was tough though. We saw good competition every night almost. not saying that the schools that we play aren't good competitions, because we don't take anything lightly, but playing those schools then was it was tough every night, because you had fundamental
boys,
and you had them boys. You played Thornton and you played those teams like that on a regular Tuesday night. It wasn't a showcase game.
Yeah, it was no Friday
You know, it
highlight.
wasn't no Friday. No, it was just a Tuesday night game.
The U game of the week. No, it's a regular game.
But even then, man, we look forward to those times. It wasn't too much, if not any, social media then to really keep up. So it was really word of mouth how you even knew some of these kids. And at the times at some of the athletic offices, they would have these magazines that would come out like once or twice. And sometimes you would be happy to see your name in it to be showcased, or be like, you read like, oh man, this dude, Kevin Dillard from HF, or this cat from Hills. You know, that's how you would basically kind of know about it. But yeah, man, that was the kind of time we grew up in, where we just played ball, man. That's what it was, though.
And so you talked about the transition of coaches from ski to yak, and just your journey too, how you transcended as a coach, just with the different programs that you were in. So you started out coaching pretty young, I think 20, 21?
I was 21, fresh 21, yeah.
21. You started here, went to JCA?
Romeoville, well, Joliet Central, Romeoville, JCA, back to West.
Here.
Yeah.
So what brought you back home?
Well, let Krieger tell it. He says universe, you know how he talks. But honestly, I never wanted to really leave Joliet in the first place. I think it was a series of how things transpired when they got new coaches and things. And then I think that at the time I started having children with me and my wife, and then my demand to be home was a little bit higher at the time, because I needed to work a little bit more. So my schedule was a little bit more strict. So I say that. But as far as the transition, I think just the opportunities that was given, and I think that it did help me to come back here in a better mindset and a better, more knowledge than what I think I would have, So I appreciate every move and transition that I made, but this is definitely home,
For sure. And so one thing, we had some great talks. One thing I never told you though was I was upset when you got hired.
Where?
Here.
Really?
Like when you came back.
Really?
And I was upset because of our history, because of our past. And so maybe upset is not the best word, but I don't know how to best encapsulate
it's getting good, T.
But yeah, so it was like, it's like, man, this man's coming to coach here. Like he's gonna be my counterpart.
So I think what your last mental encounter of me coaching was me coaching you.
Exactly.
So then like we talked, I think what you gotta understand is, I think when I had you fresh 22, maybe coming off being 21. And what are you, 14, 15, maybe? I'm definitely a hothead still, still young, finding my way type of thing. So I can understand that. And like you said, we had that talk.
Yeah, and so I want to get into that story. And just to preface it, so everybody kind of knows what I was essentially feeling at that time is that, and I'll let you kind of go into the story. But I was a little upset because like we have never had that time to talk, and like, Quan, you always been a funny person, and so like off the court we're always cool, but it was like that on the court, and like when we had going through our bouts my freshman year when you were coaching me, it was tough, and as we'll get into it, like that stuff stuck with me, for 4 years. My whole time in high school, it stuck with me the whole time, and then it didn't get until even going into college, it stuck with me until, I just kind of hit a breaking point and I really sat down and assessed myself and realized like I can't continue to hold on to this because it's affecting so many other things.
Mm-hmm.
And so, yeah, let's get into the story. Like from my point of view, it was just tough for me. And we talked about too, you're a young coach, and I'm hearing like the different things that we went through. Like a true instance, like when we went through, I forgot my shoes one day.
Yeah.
And I got a pair of shoes before practice started, and you told me I couldn't practice because I didn't have my shoes. And I was upset. I'm like, bro, I have shoes. Like, what does it matter whose shoes it is? Like, who's to say the person next to me doesn't have, that's their shoes? Like, why can't I still practice? And so it was like instances like that. But I think even before that, I don't know if you remember, but like you used to ref me in elementary school too, and maybe middle school, but I know elementary school for sure.
Yeah.
And so, and you know, I was essentially the same height, same size when I was in, you know, middle school. So I was always pretty good. I was naturally gifted. I didn't like practice on my game at all, just naturally gifted. I was always bigger than everybody too. So I was playing like 1 through 5, like killing kids. But when I got into high school, like, can you walk us through like what happened?
So I think let's start at thick pen, right? So what are you, 4th, 5th grade maybe?
Yeah.
And I'm reffing, I'm still in college, you know, it's like a little thing, make some money. But I remember seeing you, obviously you were bigger than everybody. But I remember reffing and like you would take plays off, like, you know, like you kind of did your own thing. Were you in the band or something?
Yeah, I was in a band.
See, I remember
3rd grade to 8th grade.
3rd grade to 8th grade, and you played the
clarinet.
And I don't know why I remember that for whatever reason. I think I remember you walking out with a clarinet or something. So I remember that very clear. But then I also just remember how I think at the time, because, you know, we always look at our feeder school. So at the time when I was here with Coach Yak, I think we were excited about you coming because we knew what you did as far as on the floor in games. But I think even at that time as a young coach, what I didn't see was what I guess I would have had to deal with, I guess, when you got here. So just like most of the junior highs in the area, I think there's no accountability with the kids right now. So, and obviously you have free range at Dirksen. Did you?
Anything I wanted to do.
Anything you wanted to do.
Coach Tile offense.
Basically. So I think we had high expectations, obviously, of you coming in. So, and I think what Krieger does a great job is now as kids going to play up, they obviously have to earn that. And they earn it by the summer. They earn it by conditioning and things like that. But I don't think that's what I think that we dropped the ball at then, because maybe you didn't really earn coming in right away to play up on sophomores, because it wasn't my decision to take you off sophomores and bring you back to freshmen. But that is obviously what had happened. And I think that mentally at the time, I think that it was kind of beneath you when they moved you down. And I really, you know, we had something going, we had it rolling, but I think, and I thought about this not too long ago, I think that it was changing from what I had established as far as team morale and the kids listening, because you being the dominant player at the time, the attitude that you may have brought to practice was jeopardizing what we had going on, you know. And it's interesting to see you now as this Tyler, Coach Tyler, you know, Tyler in the classroom and things like that. But just to watch how, you know, people and kids and stuff evolve. But I think that that was the issue then, just trying to not mess up what we had going on, and then really just trying to get a hold on things and stuff like that then. So even going to the shoe situation, I think that I'm guessing what my approach then was, if you weren't ready to practice to begin with, then get out. That was probably how it was. But I think a little bit more now, boy, can you find you some shoes? Don't list your shoes. Come on, you know, that's probably my approach now. But then just I was kind of like, no nonsense. And I even remember then, which I still kind of do now, if school was out at 3:15, I want us hooping by like 3:20, 3:23 at the latest. So probably at the time watching you maybe search for some shoes or not have anything, I think that probably went to that.
Yeah.
I don't know, but you probably look at it different, and I'm probably guessing. But like I said, I've been in plenty of situations and things with kids, so that one's pretty far gone in my memory. But what I'm knowing me, and then what my approach was then, and I think that I tried my best to try to be as tough as I could. But even then, me as a player and even me still being somewhat in my most athletic shape at that time, just a hooper. And I felt like if you weren't ready to hoop, then get out.
In a different mentality.
In a different mentality. So that was me as a player too. Like if you wasn't trying to take it serious, then like get off the team type thing. Like it might have been bullying, it might have been mean, but I'm here to like win and play hard because, you know, that's the type of mentality that I had. And I feel like that's probably at the time what we did, you know. Sorry, Coach T. You know?
Yeah, we chopped up about that already. We went past and we understand where, you know, we both were at fault and we both essentially I don't think it's necessarily at fault, but we both were maturing. You know, different ages, but we both were still maturing. Because I mean, I think growth never really stops. Honestly, like you keep growing, but once you choose, you make that mental decision to stop growing. That's when you begin to fail, and that's when things start to go wrong.
How old are you now?
26.
Wow. Dang. It's been a minute, huh?
Yeah.
It was like 14 or something.
Yeah, that's 12 years ago.
And then going back to thick pen, I've been knowing you for a long time too.
Yeah, and it's like I think this is a testament to everybody watching. It's like just be mindful of things you do because that does harbor and that does stay with people, you know, throughout their lives. So
it does.
just be mindful of stuff like things I can remember so vividly, things that you can remember so vividly that maybe I can't remember that you remember or that you can't remember that I remember.
Yeah.
But it sticks with us because it hits something else.
Yeah.
So it's just something to take with you from this episode. So I think now, like from your approach, I grasped it a little bit in that answer, but then also just seeing you in the environment is that you're looking to make more of an impact. It's not back then you're more of a player, but now you're just trying to make impact in somebody's lives because home situation and whatnot. But
absolutely,
is that kind of where you?
Well, yeah, I think that I think for my purposes now, is I think that I would just want to give to our boys in this community, in this school, what I wanted as a player. The opportunity to develop my game, the opportunity to be in the gym and not be in the streets. The streets, I think, was a little bit tougher now and not as silly and unnecessarily silly as it is now. But I think a lot of the things that were going on with some of the guys that I was in high school with, and I just really wanted to just hoop. And we really wanted to be away from that environment, especially like some of us didn't have maybe like the best home environment. So just being at the gym was just like everything.
Yeah.
And I think that is where I know kids really want to be in the gym and they really want to get better. And I just want to be like that to help them, especially help them get to the next level. Because even my job right now as a coach is to get you ready for the next level, whether it be, you know, as far as with your game or just on a personal level from growing up to be a young man and a father.
Yeah.
But not just that, man, just, you know, really the relationship building too, you know, somebody that you can trust and talk to on a professional level, but still like having a open mind to be able to, you know, help them and things like that. I think
For sure.
that's definitely my purpose. And especially, you know, as far as what we're doing now with the social media, I think like times you have to evolve and you have to change. So it is best that we do, we exploit our kids in the appropriate way, as far as what they're doing, what we do inside here, how we practice, how we work hard, how we hit the weight room, how we hit the track. You know, what we do, we have food available for some of these boys who don't have a meal when they get home, different things like that.
Yeah.
And I think people need to see that. So I think that's my purpose too, especially being under our head coach who already has so many things that he obviously has to do. Just trying to be that behind the bill, that behind the scenes thing type
Yeah.
thing,
Yeah.
you know.
I think that was a great segue too, because we talk about all the time, all the effort
Yeah.
and everything that's put in. Like, think let's think about the family aspect of it too. Like, you're not in the building, so that's another restraint. So you're working in your job. You are a husband, most importantly, a father, working, coaching. Like all these different things that you have to make sure that you not only have time for, but that you have appropriate energy for.
Yeah.
And I think sometimes our support system is not celebrated enough. So like just right now, got my wife behind the camera, going back and forth, checking all these cameras and making sure everything is running right. During the season, she's at every game sitting courtside to make sure that, or just wanting to be around and, take advantage and bask in everything that I got going on. So what is it is like to have, I know your wife always tells you during basketball season is essentially single
mom season
because she's taking care of the kids, make sure everything's going on because she knows that you're locked in. So she makes that sacrifice for you. It's kind of a two-parter. How do you have the energy to juggle all these things? Because I still didn't even mention all the stuff that you do for social media. Like that takes a lot of energy. Like in doing stuff on my Instagram, I see and I know how much you have to do. So how do you have the energy for all of this? But then also, like, what is it like to have that support system and being your wife and wanting to be around and help you?
So I'm gonna start with about having the support system first. I think that even in high school, I think I've watched coaches that had issues in their marriage. I've coached with coaches that had issues in their marriage and watched how it affected us as players, but also seeing how it affected them. And they weren't able to give us the best of them, really. So I think that I've learned that that's something that I didn't want. So ultimately, and like I said, kudos to my wife, because I think that, or I know that I would not be able to do this if it wasn't for her type thing. You know what I'm saying? And a lot of the ideas and things that I have aren't really mine. They're really hers. So she was big on the social media. She was big on things that when I really had nothing to do with it, she said, y'all should do this. Y'all should. I said, it's not up to me. I'm not the head, She said, well, just ask, so really it all started because of her. So if it wasn't really her, then I would have none of this. We wouldn't have that because nobody else would have made the time to do it. But right. So the fact that I do it and then she introduced me, well, you can do that on Canva, or you can do that on Gipper, you can do that on this. She put me on game and still does to this day. Media Day last year that was her thing, really. So, I mean, I appreciate my wife for everything. And even her knowing that, like you said, coming to the games and different things like that, knowing it's a school night, kids got to eat, they got homework and things like that. Like, it's some games where I say, oh yeah, you got to come to this one, but I make it easy. Like, you don't got to worry about dinner. Make sure, like I take care of dinner. So you got to kind of find how to play that, well, how I'm going to cook, well, I don't have to be here right away. I can do the homework thing. We can make sure we have food and then, just get them into bed after the game, whatever, or leave right after the sophomore game, whatever. But I think it's all about you finding that partner that understands what your purpose was. Because you could be like, when I could seriously say, like, when she met me, I was coaching. You know what I'm saying? Not necessarily saying that she liked it, but she understood that it was a passion that I had. It's not like I was into doing anything else. And I think that's what even gravitated us closer to each other was the fact that she knew that this was something that I loved, and essentially just wanted to help me be better. So I think having that partner that is understanding of that, but also you as a father and as a coach, you got to be realistic too. Like, you got to know when to get out the gym.
For sure.
You know, you got to know when to
Definitely
get out
have
the
that
gym.
balance.
So you got to find that balance. You know, you got to know when to get out the gym and be like, you know, you spend a lot of time with the kids. You spend a lot of time here in the gym, but you got to know how to spend time hard at home. Like,
For sure.
it could be just cleaning up. It don't even necessarily have to be time. I even talk about, you know, with some of my peers and different things like that. That love language, you know, you got to essentially know that too. And I say it all the time. My wife is big on acts of service. And I really couldn't figure out sometimes, you know, when we would fuss, like, you know, go get her some shoes or go buy something and she, you know, thanks. Like, man, she's still mad. What's she mad for, you know?
Yeah.
But let me wash the dishes or maybe clean up a pile of clothes that I had sitting there forever.
Over the moon.
Or, oh, bro, let me paint a wall. It's, you know, she jumping all over me type thing. But, you know, you got to understand, but it is a deeper thing of why she appreciates the whole acts of service. You even have to go back to her father, who, rest in peace, Anthony Lindsay. Her father was a man that was heavy on his hands. He built houses, he built fences, he redid basements for people, and that's how he made a living growing up. So, so for her to see her own husband, who she loves, be able to use his hands and do different things like that, I think that's a different part of her heart. But again, having a partner that is able to, you know, be by your side and understand your purpose in what you do and believes in you is a big part of this stuff, man. So
For sure.
kudos
For
to
sure.
her.
And I experienced that as well. Like, my wife is a lot of times. Sometimes she don't want to help, but she's gonna be right there. So like, she supports me through everything, thick and thin. Like, she truly embodies, you know, what those vows we took were. And so I just really appreciate her with everything that she does. As she sits behind this camera and monitors and make sure everything is going right. It's just a true blessing. Like, you know, the beginning of our season, like when I first started coaching, she was like, "Yeah, this ain't it, brother.
Yeah.
This is not it.
Right.
You're gonna have to find something else to fulfill your passion, or
Be
whatever."
going all day.
Exactly. And so, you know, especially how we do things, like we spend hours here, hours, and then you start to build a relationship over the kids, and you spend so much time there. So yeah, it's definitely a lot. So shout out to my wife. I love her
They don't
dearly.
think about that. They don't think about that.
They don't.
Coach, can you open up the gym? Like, man, I just
They ain't,
left.
yeah, they ain't thinking about your wife. They ain't thinking about your kid. They ain't thinking about nothing. Before we move into the next topic, I do kind of want to ask you, because I observed it, you know, and just being around you a little bit. Real quick, can you just tell me a little bit of kind of why you bring your kids around so much? Because I think you do it intentionally. Like, they're around and they're seeing, and you probably know this, but like, they're looking for you just like your wife was looking at her dad. Like, okay, my dad does this, is kind of cool. Like, so what is kind of your...
So I bring my kids around for two reasons. I do like for them to be with me, although I know I'm going to be gone a little bit, and for them to see what dad is doing, and for them to see me coaching other kids who are older than them, so they can see like the do's and the don'ts, and you know how hard you have to grind, and this is what you have to look forward to type thing. And so they can see me in my element, and they can understand, like, you know, the game in a different way from a coaching aspect. Like, I can sit with my kids and watch a game at home, and they'll sit there and say things that I might say, like, you know, about moving the ball in transition, or he should have got on the floor for that, or he should have took a charge. That wasn't a foul.
It's
You know,
funny
so
when
they
Brooks
start
say stuff like that.
yeah, so they start talking different. They start seeing the game different, which I think is very important at that age. So they see the things different. But another reason why I do it too is to take the burden off home too. You know, so you don't have to. You can. The ones that are at home are pretty much maintaining on their own.
Yeah.
You know, they can feed themselves, they can do stuff themselves, whatever. And then I might have the younger ones, and really, it's just, you know, we got a great group of people here, staff, whether it be managers and other coaches, where everybody kind of looks out for everybody.
For sure.
So my son might be in the gym with me shooting. Brooklyn might be in there with Raven and cheerleaders, you know, and Kennedy. But it's a very, very family oriented aspect here. And that's what really drew me back here. And that's why I love it the most. But bringing my kids here, for them to see that at times is one of the reasons why I do that too. But yeah, I love it though, man.
For sure, for sure. I'm glad you do that too, though. You know, as my wife and I, we aspire to have kids soon. Like those are little things that I'm always watching. I'm always vigilant and paying attention to, just trying to pick up game because, you know, you've been through life, you experienced it. I know when we first got together, well, in high school, you know, you had, was it Brooklyn?
Yeah,
it was Brooklyn. We got a picture of it,
right,
holding her up in our picture. So. It's just kind of always has been since the beginning of time. Like you always brought your kids around. So
she's been here for a long time.
A long time.
Yeah.
A long time. So now I want to transition into what I call a top three. So it's 3 real quick questions. It's like real quick. First thing that comes to your head is like 30 seconds. I'm just going to wrap them off like rapid fire.
All right.
Are you ready?
All right.
So if you could have any superpower, what would it be? And why?
To heal.
Okay.
And that if I can heal people, that I think that would save a lot of people a lot of heartache. So if I can heal somebody of cancer or any internal disease or from an injury that might have been life changing, then I think I would be able. I say that all the time. If God can give me the ability to heal, superpower, whatever. If I had be able to heal people, I would. It's interesting that I'm choosing a trait that would just help other people too. It's not saying that it benefits me, but
I mean, it probably would though. Like who your demeanor and who you are. It probably helps you. I think a lot of times, like I think you pick that because of who you are. Like you do a lot for the outward. Like we talked about how you like doing the social media. Like that doesn't benefit you at all. Like people kind of know you're behind it, but your name is not on there. It's just all about promoting the kids. So I think that kind of fits who you are. The next one is favorite movie of all times.
My favorite movie.
There is a right answer too.
There's a right answer?
Yeah.
My favorite movie. Dang.
You at least got to be in the top 3, top 5 because there are.
I don't think it's your favorite though.
What you got?
I mean, I have a few, but I think the only one that I can think of right now is because I'm really heavily into like Greek mythology. I like 300. I do. I love 300.
That was nowhere near. I don't even think I watched 300.
No, but
I watched the parody of it. You ever watched that?
Yes.
Yeah, that was very inappropriate. But
yeah. But I love 300 though. I think because I just got done watching the trailer of Gladiator with Denzel. I think that's in my mind. But other than that,
you could have said Denzel movie. You could have said Will Smith movie. You could have said
I was gonna say Space Jam. I love Space Jam. Yeah, that's fine. But
you went 300. Okay, it's fine.
Yeah.
And then the last question is, what is your motto? Or what is your life motto? What do you try to live by?
Just to keep learning, learn new things, try new things. Don't be afraid to like take chances. Because you'll never find out what you're capable of if you don't. And just work your hardest. Like even when you think you're working hard, just work harder. You know, so that's one thing that my motto that I would love to live, that I live by, that I try to get other people to understand too.
For sure. For sure. That's a powerful one. And just like the rest of the interview, you said some powerful things. You dropped a lot of knowledge. As we conclude, is there anything either specifically that we talked about today and or that you would like to add to get to the viewers so that they can take it with them and just into their everyday lives? Is there any bit of information?
Yeah, I think one thing that I even took from this was and I'm surprised that I didn't even get emotional talking about it, but I think that it's very important that you try to be like a great impact on people, like how you treat people, and understand that that does stick with people, because I do have similar stories and things like that. Just being a great example to the kids that you're coaching and the youth that you're around, and understand that you have to understand them really. And I think that that's what a lot of people don't in our industry, that they don't try to do, is they don't try to understand our youth and our people and our kids that we coach. Because I think if you've never been exposed or experienced to things like that, I think you don't understand. And that's why and that's why I know, I'm not going to say I think that's why I know that we've had the greatest group of people within this building and within our basketball program, because we understand and we know the kids, we know what they need, and we know what they come from, because a lot of us been through it. And I think that that is very important on how you treat people and how you approach them, and you just try to be the best version of yourself for them. But let them understand that they can only control what they can control, but what you can control, you do your best at anything that you try to do. So that's what I got, man.
For sure. That's powerful. That's powerful. And I agree 100%. Controlling the controllable, that stuff that we preach. And I think, what we preach in I know, like you said, what we preach in our organization is life things. It's not basketball. It's life. Control the controllables. We always harbor on that.
Yep.
Everything was on the other side of hard. Remove doubt with reps. Like all these different mantras and things that we recite.
Those are big. Those kids are gonna remember that.
It is.
Yeah.
It is. And it's like different things I'm going through in my life where I'm like, I gotta put in the reps.
Yeah.
Like if I'm trying to get better organization, I need to practice on that.
Right.
Like if I'm trying to get to the other side of this thing, I know that everything I'm trying to do is on the other side of hard.
Those are deep.
They are.
Sometimes I think they're just saying, like, y'all know what y'all saying. Everything you want is on the other side of hard. So you gotta work hard to get there.
100%.
I'm ready just for the season.
We almost there. A couple days away.
We'll be here.
Well, I appreciate you for doing this short notice. What you all don't know is I literally just asked him to do his interview at 7:00 this morning.
Crazy.
So, but that's a testament to who you are. Like you show up. You show up for those you care about, and it's a testament. And that's why you probably chose that superpower. You really care and want to do things for those that you care about. And I deeply do appreciate that, brother.
No doubt, man.
So that is the conclusion of this episode of Behind the Bell. Hope you all enjoyed it, and catch us on the next one.